Welcome to FemSTEM, the podcast where we are dedicated to bridging the gender gap in STEM fields by spotlighting remarkable women making waves in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. I'm your host, Risha Mehta, and today we have a very inspiring guest whose journey is not only breaking barriers but also paving the way for future generations. But before we dive into our conversation with her, let's set the stage. Today, we are honored to have with us Ms. Shubhangi Ghosh. Shubhangi is a biotechnologist with expertise in nutrigenomics, lifestyle cancer research, and sustainable menstruation. As the director of operations at sustainableindia.org, she has led numerous impactful initiatives addressing critical SDG goals in rural India. Shubhangi has dedicated her career to driving conscious transformation through research, innovation, and technology. Let's hear more about this from her herself. Welcome to the podcast. I'm really glad you could join me today.
Thank you so much, Risha, for having me and also encouraging a lot of different people from different backgrounds by choosing to do what you are right now doing. So, really grateful. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. So, to start off the podcast, could you share more about your career journey in STEM? Introduce yourself a bit.
Absolutely. So, like usually I belong to India, and in India, usually there is a conventional educational background that everyone takes up. And I was slightly different because I have done my engineering in biotechnology. And in India, usually there are masters in biotechnology, but engineering is a field where we are also studying biomathematics, we are studying biophysics, we are studying different aspects on bacterial growth to biomedical engineering and bioinformatics. So I was actually having a huge amount of exposure to all these subjects. And but most important thing I would like to share here is that so long back when I was a kid, my mother started with an NGO which was Nani Dunya, where she used to work, and she used to support and help the children who could not hear and could not speak, experience and empower them to how they can work at their lives, and their lives can be empowered, and the other children in the rural places can be empowered. So when she started this initiative, I was lucky enough to see all these aspects and see what really life actually means. So unless we are actually serving or um, creating values in other lives, there is no point of getting education or knowledge. So I believe that when we have that privilege or have that background of awareness, or coming from a background of an educated or a well-to-do family, like in India, there is a huge gap. I believe that it is also a citizen's responsibility, or I would say as a human responsibility, to encourage, support, and also create impact. And that impact does not really mean to have a broader impact, but a shorter impact. So I would say that when I started studying my BTech, which is Bachelor's in Technology, I always used to question that. Uh, why am I doing this, what is the impact of being a biotechnologist. But yes, with that I have always worked in the research field. But I was privileged enough to see my guides and my teachers and my professors always used to encourage us to create and work or do research in such a way that it should be impactful and should be useful to others. So, with that, I have my field in sustainable mensuration, where we have worked on development of a sanitary napkin which was biodegradable, and having having layer of silver nanoparticles and a lot of different aspects to make it more also affordable, biodegradable, and also antibacterial. So these were the major goals that we counted. During my MTech, that was the Masters in Technology, I was exclusively focusing on biomedical engineering and bioinformatics, where I used to have uh, different bioinformatics tool to understand uh, nutrigenomics and its impact on lifestyle cancer. So lifestyle cancer is usually I was targeting pancreatic and gastric cancer. So with these things, I think that there was an innate question that was going inside my mind, and my always I used to question that am I doing the right work, or am I able to impact, because education is not just for having certain degree or having certain kind of societal acceptance, but for me education was also a way of um, having the opportunity to serve. So this is a little background about me, which I might have gone over the road maybe.
Uh,
So yeah,
it's really all about like giving back to the society in some way or the other. So,
right.
you mentioned earlier that it was not really common in India to do biotech as your undergrad. So, what, like, why do you choose biotech out of all the fields in STEM?
So biotech is still even now it's an emerging field. The reason being, it has after COVID might be people are knowing about biotechnology, but most part of India usually has the idea of biotechnology is about vaccines, but biotechnology is not just about vaccines. It is also about nanobiotechnology. It is also about food technology. A lot of things are involved: how food can be preserved, how medicines and drugs can be delivered in the right mechanism. So I just believe that biotechnology is something that is so vast, and always it's infinite. The minute you'll just understand what is a gene therapy, how deal with different diseases with gene therapy, how different diseases can be overcome with different kind of vaccine module or drug delivery mechanism. There are so many things in biotechnology that I just felt that it is worth giving a shot. And there are plenty of things to understand and to read and to experience. So it was really beautiful subject for me. So that was the calling. But yes, again, the school I studied had also an option of biotechnology as well. So I have briefly have that idea and that experience of biotechnology during my school time also. So that gave me a privilege to take up biotechnology as a subject.
Oh, that's nice to know. So, even like before you mentioned in your introduction, you were talking about how you did biotechnology, then you did bioinformatics and biomed. So, is there like a difference between these three fields? If so, like, what is it?
Absolutely. There is a difference again, but all these fields are interconnected with each other, because we can't go for multiplication unless we know about addition and subtraction. So, similarly, when we are able to understand that how, number one, the body works, how and what kind of secretion a cell is doing, what are the hormones, which hormone is impacting which particular enzyme. All these things are so much interconnected with each other that when we actually started to understand biotechnology, in that only we had bioinformatic as a segregation of it, where we used to understand the tools. So bioinformatics tool can be something that gives us an analysis of protein, that gives us analysis, that I would say something a human mind can do partly, but is dependent on a software to support it to give a better analysis and better results. So I would say all these aspects are interconnected. And again, when we are specializing, it is different in context to the software that they are using. For example, the one that I used during bioinformatics, my master's, was Prodinger software that used to do docking. Docking is something that is more, I would say, understanding that which is going better with which enzyme, more like, a lock and key thing, with that which key suits which law, that is the thing. But when we speak about biomedical engineering, it is exclusively about the instrumentation part. So all the instruments, how the instruments work, and what are the technique that is involved in development of that instrument, how that instrument is giving analytical value close to what we are doing the study upon. So all these things are about, all these subjects. But again, without biotechnology, it would have been difficult to, move to all these aspects of it.
Yeah, damn. So basically, just all interconnected, and to excel in one, you need like support of the others. Got it. So, research like seems to be a very big part of your life, right? Could you go a bit more in depth of it? Like, what research you did? Why did you pick up that topic really, and how did you like go about the process?
So Twisha, in India, even now, I would say we just read this as a reference when we were actually working on this research. The time when we were doing this was 2000. 18, 17, 18. So that was the time when we were actually reading many papers and referring to many researchers. So there was this research, particular research, I don't remember the author's name and scientist's name, but it was shared over there that even now 8% of women exclusively are using sanitary napkin or have the awareness of using sanitary napkin. So you can imagine the amount of difference that, is there in not having the awareness about the sanitary napkin. Second important factor that actually helped us to pick up this subject or pick up this particular topic about not just sanitary napkin but sustainable approach to a sanitary napkin was, there is this fiber which is polypropylene fiber, which takes a long time to which takes a long time to degrade. And this always used to question me, because as a teenage girl who has started using sanitary napkin, and uh, it might be still in the soil even now. So just imagine the impact a single sanitary napkin is making, and imagine the impact women in developed country or women who are actually using from urban places or cities are actually where the sanitary napkin is going. So even though there is a thought that okay, I have my waste and now I'm going to throw it away, I want to keep my house clean, but there is no away as such. It is ending up in our land as only. So it is going to affect us in long term. So the major thought was to use and replace the polypropylene fiber in such a way that it could again be something that is not bothering in context to absorbing, because the absorption and the leakage can only be prevented when there is a certain kind of plastic layer, which is very common thought. Because unless we have a plastic layer, for example, if you go to a small restaurant or a roadside place, they usually have this plastic thing on the tables placed outside their cafes or something like that. So whenever you spill ketchup or something, they can easily wipe it out. So the question was, what is now anything cannot be 100% sustainable even now, but yes, the approach was what can be less evil to the nature. So the two things that were the driving factor for me as an individual would be uh, discussing about sanitation, discussing about women's hygiene and menstruation, And second thing would be really important would be, how we are affecting the nature as well. And so at that time, we have a ashram, also a research center at village of Chhattisgarh, which is a state in India. And there were women from 104 different villages who used to come up and visit those visit our ashram, which is our research center. So I got the opportunity to interact with them. I got an opportunity to discuss with the teenage girls about their choices of what they want to use, what they are using, and how they are seeing, women's hygiene or the hygiene involved with menstruation, how they are seeing themselves with those topics. So they were kind of, I would say, not open. They were having a lot of taboo, uh, discussing about all these things. And plus there is also a lot of myths connected to all these topics, and it is something that should not be discussed openly. So for us, for me as an individual, this was a driving point that I wanted women to see their health as something that is normal, as something that can be discussed openly, and as something that can be cherished. Because uterus is an organ which is a magical organ, because certainly it has so much power and so much, I would say, magical, because it is capable of giving birth to a child. So you can imagine the beauty that organ carries. So I just don't want my country or the people I know or the village where we have the ashram, I don't want them to feel that this topic or discussion about this is really wrong. I want them to celebrate the femininity, I want them to celebrate the womanhood. And that is the reason why we chose to do the research on, so that it could give me an idea also that how I can also discuss openly and what are the points that has to be discussed then. Yeah, so that's what I believe that was the driving force.
Yeah, it was nice to hear you do, actual groundwork research, but then also like try to make a social impact through your research paper, since ultimately that's the like key goal.